All the G's.
All the G's.
So let's talk about those instruments that you made, because those make a big difference in setting this album apart from other rock bands.
Everybody wants that instrument.
Yeah, I get a lot of nice comments about it.
Have Fender buy it or something.
I don't know. Like, I think someone actually owns a patent on multi-scale too. Okay, so I guess I'll go into the idea of it a little bit and where I kind of failed upwards, so to speak. The original plan was, like many people who play bass in a band, I'm a demoted guitar player. I was just someone out there listening, be like, me too.
But we're like, you're a guitar player, so we got to find a way to exploit that too. And we didn't want a fourth member.
Well, when you first joined the band, you were playing on an 8-string.
That's true. Phil's right. I was playing on an 8-string guitar. That's actually that's part into this. I should have started there. The 8-string was cool. It was a Schecter. It was like 26.5 inches of scale.
That was the one that was like a low B and then another extra string on top too.
Exactly. That's how I had set it up. And the problem with that one, I had the lowest note as a G because I found the F sharp too flappy. Because that point you're almost playing like a bass, but a bass is 34 inches long to scale length, and there's a reason for that, right? So I would tune that up, and then the high string was like a high G, and like it was like a 0.007 string, and it would snap if you looked at it wrong. That like some people, can I try your guitar? I'm like, yeah, but you can't bend the high string like at all. Like don't even you can't look at this one. It's never been played. Don't even want to. So I really enjoyed that playing in the band, but like the lows weren't sounding like a bass. It sounded like a guitar that was just tuned kind of really low.
Were you playing through a bass amp at that time?
I was, yeah, for some of the stuff, but that's not like just like the physics of sound. It's not enough to make it sound like actually a bass, right? Like there's the scale length has like a big impact on that. So then I decided I want to drop this wacky like half guitar, half bass, so I can like be a demoted bass player and like a half-ass guitar player. And I built the first one. It was kind of like based on like a Fender Jaguar shape. And I was like, okay, I want 7 strings because 8 was too many. 7 would be fine. I'll have the lowest note be a G. That's like a compromise. I don't need to go all the way to an E. And I want it to be multi-scale because I want the lowest note to have that room it needs. But I also want the high string to not be so high that it snaps all the time. Mm-hmm. So I designed that. And then after getting it all built, I got to the point where I wanted to fret it, and I tried to put frets in, and they just wouldn't fucking go in. I don't know what I'm doing wrong because I'm like learning off of YouTube, right? And I don't have anyone to show me. And after 2-3 times, I'm like, okay, this is not happening. So I put it aside. I'm like, okay, I'll take a break. And then I was like, I guess I could not put frets in. There's a lot of fretless basses, you know? I could try that. And at this point, like, I was so tired of the project because it had taken a long time. I was like, I'm just going to put wood filler in. It'll be unaligned fretless, and if I don't like it, I'll try again one day. And it turns out I liked it a lot. It was really cool.
And it sounded good too.
And I was shocked that my friend he picked up. He's like, this instrument's way better than it has any business being. Considering it's the first thing you ever built.
And I think the first time you tried it through distortions when you were tracking guitar and you did Lipstick on a Pig
through your amp,
it was just like so drony, so.
It sounded like a really wicked slide guitar.
Yeah.
Except you could like do chords and shit on it because you're not like stuck with just the slide in that one position. I mean, someone good could do chords and shit. I could barely play it at the time. We used it for Eric's Yamaha amp. It's basically like a rip-off circuit of a Mesa Boogie, and like it sounded so good through it. And that's we use that on Lipstick on a Pig. It's in a few parts of it.
Well, the main chorus chords and then the
yeah, exactly. And it's got that really like it sounds like a slide guitar a lot.
Yeah,
but some of it's like in that bass range with like that low C and so that it added like an extra dimension. It was just like its own thing, you know?
Yeah, those parts definitely stuck out to me as I was mixing. I was like, damn, that's fucking cool.
What like there is one like it's a little out of tune, and we all listened to it.
But that helps it cut through the mix in a kind of way.
It wasn't too offensive. That's what that was my whole thing. Whenever editing, I'm like, oh guys, I'm out of tune. I'm out of time, you know. And then they're like, but it sounds fine, you know. Yeah. And yeah, it sounded cool. It was like its own thing.
So part of the difficulty of putting on the frets, A, you hadn't done it before, but B, was it also because you were using, since it was multi-scale, they had to be slanted, right?
Yeah, that's it. If you were building a multi-scale, like when I went online and asked for help, everyone's like, don't do this as your first build. That's stupid. They're right. But my whole thing was like, I'm not building this for the hobby of like luthier instrument work. I'm building this because I want this instrument and I don't have like $5,000 to have someone do it for me. If you were building a traditional guitar, you could buy a miter box, which is basically something that ensures the saw you use stays perfectly straight. you can't do that with a multi-scale because everyone is on its own certain angle, so you can't just use one box for everything. And what I think is when I was sawing, my saw probably went slightly askew left or right. Not a lot, but just enough so that when the fret went in, it wouldn't go in straight. It would go kind of crooked, and it would just never seat properly.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that's what I think. If I brought someone who knows what they're doing, they'd be like, yeah, that's what went wrong here.
Okay.
Oh, although what's cool is I was really worried about the measurements because had I put frets in, if they weren't in the right spot, that note would just always be out of tune, right?
Yeah.
But when I checked the notes to the lines, I nailed the measurements. They're all perfectly in the right spot when I check, like when I hold it down there. So at least that much I got right. I was like, because I spent like 8 hours measuring those lines again and again and again, making sure like the intonation would be perfect. Because I was like, if I screw this up, it'll never sound right. There's nothing you can do about that. Like if your guitar's intonation's wrong, it's just wrong. You got to rip them out and do it again.
And so you've made other instruments since
2
then,
now.
or-
I'm up to 2. I made a second one. That one also has it. Then I was like, I love this guitar, but I live in an apartment, so like I can't always plug it in, right? It bugs the neighbors. So I'm like, I want one I could like sit on the couch with but still play. So I wanted to make the same guitar but a semi-hollow. And this time I chose to make it unlined fretless because I wanted to like challenge my fretless playing a little bit. And
as in there's no visual reference.
exactly. Yeah, you have to use your ear and muscle memory entirely to know what notes you're playing. And I made it, except I made the top, back, and sides way too thick, so it weighs like 15 pounds.
Of the body,
The whole guitar.
the whole body.
Yeah. A normal, like a Stratocaster is like a 9-pound guitar for reference for anyone listening. So it's about double the weight it should be.
He's a big boy.
And because I made everything too thick, it's not as resonant as I would have wanted. I can still hear it acoustically, but it doesn't ring out like a jazz box or anything. But it's construction-wise, it's still an improvement over the other one. So
It must have gone a lot smoother than the first time.
oh yeah, the first time was because the first time, anytime I'd make a mistake, I was like, "Fuck, I ruined it. I've wasted all my time. Why did I even do this? I don't know. Go throw some shit." And this time, every time I made a mistake, I'm like, "Doesn't matter. You can fix anything." You know. Even I saw a luthier tutorial, and he was like, "A pro luthier is just someone who knows how to fix their mistakes.
Right.
That's all it is. Like it's just wood. You could put more on. You could fix things." So I had a much better time building the second one. I was in a good mood. Even when I made a mistake, I was like, fiddle-dee-dee, that will require a new piece.
It's like a Bob Ross happy accident.
Yeah, exactly. There are some things like that on it. I didn't intend for certain things to look a certain way, like just some wood that's plied to it. But I'm like, oh, it looks good. I had to fix a mistake. I made it look like it was on purpose. It's cool. It's good. I definitely want to continue building. Next, I want to try and get into like a fully acoustic one. But that's gonna probably be like more the size of like a cello or like
Table.
yeah, because like a low instrument has to be big enough to hear it audibly. Like there's a reason a double bass is bigger than the guy playing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the next thing, but I won't have time to do that right away. That's just like on for the acoustic tour, I guess. Oh my god.
MTV Unplugged.
There we go.
Yo, man. That'd be cool. That'd be fun to do.
Half the stage is just the instrument.
Yeah.
Boom.
Cello, you got a bass.
Exactly.